Welcome to Outside the Box. I'm your host, Grant Pruitt. Want to welcome our guest here today, Dan Jensen. Say hi, Dan.
Hey, guys.
And I also want to make sure that we thank our producer, Zach Lewis.
Thanks, Grant. How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having us again. You didn't kick us out yet.
No, not yet.
So they might after you're done with me.
Yeah, very possible, and probable.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're very, very privileged to have Dan Jensen with us today. Dan is a very good friend of mine. How long have I known you, Dan?
About 10 years, I think.
About 10 years.
SMU buddies.
That's
2005.
right. That's right. Dan is an entrepreneur. He's, I guess you'd say that you're an accountant by education.
Yes, and by trade. Recovering corporate addict.
Right. And he is the co-founder of Shift Dental. And Shift Dental helps non-branded private dental practices compete with large corporate dentistry companies and PE-backed direct-to-consumer companies in the $15 billion clear aligner market by providing marketing and patient-centered support services.
That's a mouthful.
So what does that mean, Dan? What? Tell us about Shift. Tell us what you do.
So little way of background.
Please, give us let's start it off right.
Spent 7 years at EY, starting in financial statement audit in the assurance practice, and then moved over to their transactions real estate practice. So I did real estate M&A for a while with some of our large corporate clients. My father's an oral surgeon. My twin brother is a dentist, and we saw this opportunity in the market over the last couple of years, and so we jumped at this opportunity. And what that is specifically is in the clear aligner market, which most people are familiar with. Invisalign. Invisalign has been around since 1999. They're owned by a company called Align Technologies, based in San Jose, California. They manufacture all of their products in Juarez and have a lab in Costa Rica. So a couple of years ago, there was this movement towards more direct-to-consumer type marketing initiatives for clear aligners. And so this company came along called Smile Direct Club, and they sort of brought the remote care model to dentistry, what is referred to sometimes as teledentistry. And
like a teledoc type thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar.
You call in and they... I mean, how does that work in dentistry?
It's similar. With dentistry, or with clear aligners in particular, what's done remotely is the diagnosis of the case by a dentist who may be based in Nashville, Tennessee, and you may be in Dallas as the patient, and a scan is taken, or Smile Direct Club will ship out an impression kit, and you take your own impression, and you send that into the lab, and then everything is done remotely. So we saw that happening. We saw that there would be maybe some challenges with that in terms of quality of care issues. And so Shift was started really just to match patients who are wanting clear aligners to a locally based dental provider. And so we don't necessarily.
And are these dental providers orthodontists?
So they can be. The ones that we work with right now are just general practice dentists.
And they have the technical expertise to be able to do this.
Right, absolutely. Okay. So, clear aligners, that all the technology is really in the method of planning the case, which is owned by the clear aligner manufacturers. So all of these companies, like Smile Direct Club, there's another one called Candid Company, they're sort of branding themselves as their aligners, but at the end of the day, all aligners are made by two companies in the world that are used in America. And that's Align Technologies, which makes Invisalign, and a company down in Austin called ClearCorrect. And ClearCorrect is an interesting story, and that's primarily the manufacturer that we use. But we also offer Invisalign because that's the brand name that most people are aware of.
And Invisalign is made in Juarez, you said?
It is, yeah, surprisingly, right? So ClearCorrect makes all of their product in a state-of-the-art facility in Austin, in Round Rock, Texas. They've just made the largest 3D printer order, I think, in the last couple of years in America. So they have all these 3D printers that are printing the trays that are used.
So they are implementing 3D printing.
Yes,
absolutely. Now, Invisalign is not.
No, they are too. They've been using 3D printing for a while too. So.
Such a forward industry.
It was, Invisalign. They were the first movers. So they started Invisalign, their product, in 1999, and they've just had incredible growth, and they're still growing. And now Invisalign itself is opening up brick and mortar sort of smile shops where the consumer can bypass the dentist and just go into an Align or an Invisalign brick and mortar store. They just opened up one in San Francisco and kind of get their scan and get everything taken care of. Excuse me. And then they'll go, to the dentist to get the clinical work done.
So why would they? I mean, it sounds like your product is a superior product. It's more of the, I hate to say it, but it's like the Warby Parker model. They send you the glasses, you pick what you like, and then you're on and off to the races. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, that's exactly the model that was borrowed by Smile Direct Club, by Candid, and to a lesser extent by us. Our differentiator between our competitors who are in this space is we still anchor the patient to a local provider. Right. You can be a patient of one of our competitors and never see the dentist monitoring your case.
So we think that's about some
think that's a problem.
That sounds dangerous.
It is. It can be if it's not done properly. Our competitors are sort of in this gray area in terms of regulation and exposing themselves to heightened litigation if you're not providing a duty of care and a minimum standard of care to your patients. And so that is a challenge that they will, I think, face in the near term. And there will be some regulatory pushback. They've had some lawsuits. They've had some state dental boards kind of questioning what they're doing. And so that's why we very much wanted to continue the patient-provider relationship where we're still anchoring the patient's clinical, treatment to a local provider.
And how do you go about finding these providers? Because I'm assuming this is an organic network. You've created this.
Yeah,
network.
It is. And, so my brother is a dentist, so he's one of our providers based in Scottsdale, obviously.
How did he get that gig?
How did he get that gig?
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And then we work with a dentist in Dallas. His name is Dr. Fouché of New Avenue.
Shout out to Dr. Fouché, by the way.
If he's listening. His company is called New Avenue Dentistry, and his is a sort of a mobile model where he brings the office to large corporations around town. So he's at different locations at different times of the month. And so that allows us to kind of project our network of dentists all around DFW.
I'm just going to cut in here for a second. Dr. Fouché is my dentist, believe it or not.
Is that right?
I
look
had no
at how
idea you worked
straight
with
his
him.
teeth
Yeah,
are.
so-
I just want to put, look at that. His teeth are, those are some good looking teeth.
Yeah.
I think I just lost my
No,
audio.
he's a good
I did
dentist.
too.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
we're
dig him.
still on the air.
I don't know if we are or
Technical
not.
difficulties. Did you unplug something, Grant?
I don't
Uh-oh,
know.
something
Did I
fall
unplug
out?
Something?
I don't know.
Hey, you guys keep doing your thing.
Zach,
I'll
can you
come
still
figure
hear
this
us?
out. Yeah, we're still on. Keep doing your
that's
thing.
okay.
I'll come
I don't
sort
need
this
to-
Yeah,
out.
that's all right.
We're just going to keep going.
Yeah, Dr. Fouché, good guy.
Yeah.
So he's our DFW based dentist, and his other dentists on his team as well. So
Cool.
yeah.
So what markets are you in currently? You're in Phoenix.
We're in Phoenix, greater Phoenix, Scottsdale area, and we're in the greater DFW area.
Okay. And what are your growth markets? Where are you looking to grow?
Well, primarily sort of large secondary markets in Texas.
Okay.
So we'd like to go sort of down the 35 corridor,
Sure.
down to Austin
Sure.
and San Antonio and Houston and all those. And, probably expand more in the southwest regions of Denver and...
Do you find that any particular markets have a greater need for this type of dentistry?
Well, it's definitely where the people are, as where any business is, I guess. But urban centers, large secondary market. We're not really focusing on small rural or tertiary markets right now.
And you're still using the model of sending out whatever I guess you take a mold, is that right?
Yeah, so we can either take a mold, which is sort of most people think of as the old-fashioned way,
right.
or 3D scans. So it's
who's
basically
performing the 3D scan?
either the dentist or one of his hygienists or
so
associates.
you have to go to the physical location.
With
for
our
them to do
model, you have to go to the physical location.
Okay.
And we hope that provides some level of confidence and assurance from the patient's perspective that I'm not just sending my mold in to some company in Nashville or going to a smile shop, where a 21-year-old technician is taking my scan. I mean, we're still anchoring you to a local dentist, and we want that patient-provider relationship because that's important for successful treatment outcomes.
And tell me about what's the benefit of the dentists using you versus? I mean, could they do it on their own, or how does that work?
Dentists have a capacity problem. You know, there's some, their chairs aren't always full, right? They have availability for capacity. So we're helping to provide that. I mean, that's the objective.
Through the marketing and the branding and pushing it to them.
Yeah. And, you know, that's probably been the biggest, you know, challenge with our business is just finding the right patients. And but, you know, we're doing that.
I think that's the challenge in any business.
I know, right?
So finding the right client is always
exactly. You know something
challenge.
about that. So, and you know, we've been doing this since about September of last year. So we're still very much a startup organization, but we hope that we provide, you know, something that our competitors don't, and that's anchoring you to our dentist. You know, having a more small company feel,
right,
and providing what we hope is, you know, really good customer service.
And as far as finding your ideal client, what is your ideal client?
So our ideal client is someone who does not need comprehensive orthodontics.
And
it's someone
I for a layperson like me,
yeah.
So what is comprehensive?
What that means is, you know, we target our average client or your patient needs about 6 to 8 months of treatment time.
Okay.
And so that's, you know, that's generally thought of sort of moderate, you know, movement of the teeth.
Right.
So if you know, we don't do a lot of teenagers, you know, did you have braces when you were a teenager?
Absolutely.
I mean,
my teeth were going everywhere.
They're everywhere, right? You need comprehensive orthodontics with palatal expanders and brackets and wires.
Right. And I had all of the above.
Yeah. And, you know, Invisalign can, you know, it's pretty complex now and pretty sophisticated. They can shift teeth like that, but you know, we're looking for people who, you know, just need some movement, maybe a little relapse. They had a retainer, they didn't wear it, or, you know, they have, you know, just a few teeth that are out of whack and they want to sort of reset them, so to speak.
Right.
So that, you know, that's really our ideal patient.
So it's really more cosmetic than it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but you know, that's obviously a primary motivation for any type of orthodontic procedure is cosmetic.
So, well, it could be health related. I mean,
yeah, no, it can. I mean, if your bite's out of whack, that can cause, you know, headaches and, you know, grinding teeth and things like that. You absolutely need to see your dentist about that.
So,
but largely it's cosmetic.
So, you know, this show we talk a lot about business. We talk to entrepreneurs. You know, you own a business, I own a business, and you know, you're talking about your clients and clientele. What do you find is the biggest challenge? What's been the biggest challenge since you've started?
Oh gosh, I mean, probably. I mean, we were talking before the show. I mean, I think the biggest challenge is just, you know, our marketing efforts and just finding the right people. It's, you know, if you start your own business and you're looking for clients, it's the numbers are sort of mind-boggling,
right, in
terms of, you know, what your company is out in front of, and then the funnel, right, down to an eventual, you know, matriculated patient or client. So but you know, it's a numbers game.
Of course it is. You got to cast a wide net and hope that
very
you end
wide
up,
net. Yeah, but you know, shows like this, and you know, our network that, you know, we have and that our partners have, you know, it's kind of soft leads, right, if you will.
Now, can you drive business from the dentist?
We don't. Although there are some, you know, opportunities to, you know, since we're sort of a patient acquisition company, there's some opportunities for kind of referral type, you know, accretive revenues.
Sure.
But you know, there's some legal issues around that, and how the state dental boards, you know, allow for certain fees to be paid and who has to charge them and things like that. So, yeah,
cool.
Yeah, I mean, dentistry seems simple on the surface, but it's a highly regulated industry.
There's a real business behind dentistry.
Yeah,
and tell me if I'm wrong.
Which, to your point, I mean, that's why. I mean, I generally think of dentistry as sort of, you know, 10 to 15 years behind the rest of medicine, and there's a lot of consolidation happening now in dentistry.
And it seems like there's just so, you know, there's so much change happening in that industry. You know, before this interview, I did a little bit of research as it relates to the dental industry.
I see all your printed articles there.
You know, in the course of about 5 minutes, I tried to become as much of an expert as you could.
Mm-hmm.
It was back like college where I was studying for a test 5 minutes before the exam and
and
praying,
you aced it.
praying that I would be able to make it through.
Aced it.
Somehow they gave me a diploma and I graduated.
I know. I objected to the dean when that happened. But,
I don't doubt
here
that.
you are.
So, one of the things that I looked at what they were talking about as changes, and they had some different thinkers as far as dentistry groups, and that's really what it seems like. First of all, you're maybe seeing a shift in is that you're going from an individual sole proprietor to some sort of group. I mean, you're basically creating your own group within the dental industry. Is that
accurate?
accurate?
I mean, we're creating a network of providers. There are companies that are called DSOs, dental support organizations, that are sort of consolidating, maybe 10 or 20 or 1,000 practices. The largest DSO in America is called Heartland Dental, and they own about 1,000 practices nationwide. And so that's taking dentistry to where medicine is, group consolidation, kind of the big HMO type practices where you're getting big scales, negotiating higher reimbursement rates with the payers, with the insurance companies, getting all sorts of economies from suppliers and vendors. So that's definitely where dentistry is going. There's good things and bad things in terms of how the quality is for the consumers when that happens.
Trust me.
Just look at what's happening with medicine.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's the same in the real estate industry as well.
I mean, everything. Isn't there an economic theory that everything tends towards consolidation?
Yeah, but there's always going to be people that carve out their niche.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I think that
specialization,
you get a little bit better service. At least I would think so than going with one of your big dental groups and so forth.
Yeah.
But when I looked at trends that they were talking about, one of the big trends was the inbound lead generation was one of the trends that they talked about.
Okay.
Which is exactly what you talked about, in terms of being a challenge, trying to get the inbound lead going and getting everything growing. One of the things that they talked about was fraud, and quite frankly,
in terms of what, the Medicaid billing?
I'm assuming that's what they're talking about.
I'm sure that's what they're talking about. There's been some high-profile cases in Texas where some Medicaid-focused dental practices, primarily in South Texas, have been fined millions of dollars by Medicaid and Medicare centers or whatever governmental organization monitors that, because Medicaid. So, quick background: Medicaid covers dental for children. Medicare doesn't cover dental for adults. And dentistry is exempt from Obamacare as well. So it's not one of those required essential health services that are in the list for Obamacare. So the fraud is generally with Medicaid.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's strictly children.
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. I'd have to double check on that.
Okay. Well, it was
But yeah, it's primarily pediatric kind of dentistry stuff.
And then it was 3D printing. That was the next one.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like that's where so much of everything that we're doing is going. Is that, I mean, all of your product is 3D printed? Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
Do you see
it's BPA-free plastic, but there's a lot of proprietary technology behind, how those are printed and how the movement of the teeth is done over time.
Now, does it adapt to each individual mold?
Yeah, I mean, so what happens is that the computer system, which is where all the proprietary technology is, sort of plans the case. When I mean plan the case, it means, your teeth need 6 months of movement. You're going to wear, a tray every 2 weeks, so you need 12 trays. So the computer sort of plans that out, and then your trays are printed, within fractions of millimeters to make sure that, as you progress in your wear schedule, they're shifting the teeth properly.
So it sounds like digital media and social media is becoming more embraced by the dental industry as well. That was another trend that they've been saying, that there's going to be a lot of spending on digital.
Yeah.
How are people finding their dentists? I mean, is it still word of mouth? Do they go to the phone book? Is it on social media?
Yeah, I haven't gotten a phone book in a while. But
I guess.
Do you remember when you used to get them? They deliver them to your doorstep.
My grandmother drove on a phone book.
Yeah. What do you mean drove on a phone book?
she had a hard time seeing above the dashboard.
So like a booster seat.
Yeah, it's like a booster seat, So you just grab a phone book and you sit on a phone. It's got to be a big city versus a small city because there's not a whole lot of boost in a small city phone book.
I think most people still find their dentist by word of mouth. I mean, you can do marketing in terms of for a general dentist, but I don't think that's entirely successful for people who do it.
So Amazon is a big term for anything. And I understand that Amazon has a small dental supply business. Are they in that space?
If they are, that'd be news to me.
Really? Okay. So they're not a player.
There's some big
you hear
suppliers.
That? Jeff Bezos, not a player.
Yeah. There's some big suppliers in the dental industry.
Okay.
I don't know that Amazon is one of them.
Okay.
But they do, I believe. I mean, a lot of these big corporations like Google or Apple or Amazon will have like their own dental office at corporate,
right?
Where the employees can just kind of get their dental care done right there.
So, what do you see as the biggest shakeup in the industry?
I mean, it's going to be continued consolidation and the elimination of private practicing dentists. Sort of what I mentioned earlier, the DSO model.
But do you think that you're going to have dentists that come in and say, forget that, I'm going to do my own thing?
And there always will be, especially on the sort of higher end cosmetic side. Right, which is going to be still relevant in big, urban cities.
Okay.
Like Dallas, New York, Chicago, SF, LA. I mean, there's definitely still going to be demand for that. Okay. Which is, I guess, more of sort of the dermatology, plastic surgery model. But otherwise, if you have a practice that's relying 90% on insurance payments, insurance reimbursements, that's where it's going to continue to trend towards consolidation. In the same way that medicine has over the last 20 years.
So, we kind of do a two-parter in this show, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, so enough about dentistry, right?
Before we do anything else, how does someone get a hold of you? If they are listening to this podcast and say, I would love to get my teeth fixed. Yeah. Hell, I could probably use it myself. I would love to get my teeth fixed.
Smile.
What do they do? Wait, you're always going to find a problem.
Grant.
You're always going to find a problem, right?
No, not me.
It's like an insurance salesman. You can never have too much insurance.
Exactly. Well, it's really easy. You can just go to our website, shiftyoursmile.com, and there's a place where we can help you verify your insurance benefits. If you're curious as if your insurance benefits will cover clear aligner treatment, you can call the number on the website, shoot us an email. So lots of different ways to get a hold of us, and someone from our team will reach out.
Excellent.
But
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
all right, part two.
For the second part, I love history, and that I love history. And first of all, Dan, what you may or may not know about him, this is his second calling. Not only does he have a great radio voice, he was on the radio for how many years?
Very briefly. I think about a year.
That works. A year. Yeah. That's a long time in radio business, right?
It was
syndicated. Were you syndicated?
I don't know if it was
Let's
syndicated.
Just say that you were.
Well,
you were a syndicated talk show host.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I love history and talking about things, and I was stuck in traffic on the way over here, and I understand that Donald Trump is in town today.
Is he?
I don't know if you're aware
in Dallas?
of that was my understanding. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what I hear. So I happened to read a great article in the Wall Street Journal today about a Republican presidential candidate that had a problem. It was a looming sex scandal that could derail his White House campaign. One of his mistresses was blackmailing him, threatening to tell him all their extramarital affair. She was going to sell her story with documentary evidence to the press. Something had to be done, and he ran under the campaign slogan, America First.
Sounds like Donald Trump.
It does. But
and Stormy Daniels.
Believe it or not, I can't make this up. This was Warren G. Harding.
1920 something.
1920s. And it was an interesting. He was having an affair evidently with his neighbor. It's always the neighbor.
It's always the neighbor.
But I got to tell you, she's not bad looking. I got a little picture over here holding some puppies. Yeah. Oh. But it gets even worse. Not only was he married and running for office, he was having an affair with another, like a 19-year-old woman. And
was this guy a Republican or a Democrat?
He was a Republican. And he got her pregnant. She had a kid. the woman that he was her neighbor, he sent off on a trip to Asia, paid her $25,000, which was $300,000 in today's money, and gave them a stipend of $2,000 a month, which is $25,000 a year in today's money. Is that right?
That sounds like a better
$25,000 a month in today's money.
Sounds like a better deal than what Stormy Daniels got.
It does sound a lot better than what Stormy Daniels got. But what do you think of this? Can you believe that?
Well, they say history has a way of repeating itself.
Does it ever? I mean, it repeats itself.
Sounds like the exact same thing that happened to 45.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Stormy Daniels was in town a couple weeks ago.
I didn't know she was here to meet you.
Yeah, she was. Well, I didn't see her. She was performing at Buck Wild's, I heard.
Did you get her autograph?
And what she said was, "The scandal's been great for business." I mean, she's charging.
I'm shocked.
She's charging these poor souls $300 just to come see her dance.
Man, the second half
who
of
made
this
out
show
better
is
on that
something else.
one?
I think she's doing all right.
I think she's doing all right too. And if she
Yeah.
gets the book deal, she'll be doing great.
And her attorney, Michael Avenatti, shark.
Yeah. And I know that you know everything there is to know about politics.
So what happened to Harding? He was elected?
He got elected. He died in office.
Oh, okay. And then who took over? Coolidge? Was that Coolidge? I have no idea.
Let me flip to the back of the article.
Was this in the Journal today?
Yes, it was at least online. It was an article by Elaine Weiss.
Oh, this is something about golf.
Yeah, which is another hobby of yours. So I know you love politics. You love golf as well.
Yeah. When I'm not peering into people's mouths.
When you're not... That's really creepy. That's creepier than something Stormy Daniels would do.
Well, is what
Or
dentists
Donald
do,
Trump.
although I'm not a dentist. Yeah.
So why are you peering into their mouths?
I let the dentists do that.
So, I know you're a big golfer,
Yeah.
right? And they talk about, and as you're well aware of, it can be so long to play golf. And when it's 105 degrees like it is today, it's just so difficult to bring yourself to go play golf. So what people have brought to the surface are 9-hole courses, and there's been some Bandon Dunes put in a 9-hole course.
Is that right?
That's right.
Bandon Dunes is sort of it's in Bandon, Oregon. They've got 5 courses on the coast. It's a pretty popular golf destination.
Same at Pinehurst.
Buddies or
Blue Jack National in Houston, Diamante in Cabo.
Oh, you're going to all the nice places.
Well, because when I heard par 3 courses, I thought there was no way that it could be nice. But they're talking about that. Top Golf, which is obviously a big Dallas-based company, and golf simulators.
I think golf simulators could be the next big thing.
Really?
It's huge in South Korea. There are more golf simulators in South Korea than there are coffee shops.
And is that just because it's space driven? Why do they like golf simulators?
It's definitely a product of their geography, right?
Okay.
I mean, if you want to play golf and you're living in Seoul, I mean, you got to drive 2 hours to get to a course, and it's outrageously expensive. So it's definitely sort of a hyper, concentrated urban problem.
Okay.
But I think it could be successful in America. I think you're going to see more golf simulators come to America in the next 3 to 5 years. Mark my words.
And how do they compete with a Top Golf? Because a top golf, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like a bar meets
they call
golf.
it. Well, you know this. They call it an entertainment concept.
Okay.
In real estate, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's a place to hang out, eat, drink, and be social with a sort of sports activity that is sort of the anchor of the activity. So, I mean, and the reason that, your indoor golf simulators will compete with Top Golf is because with an indoor golf simulator, you can actually play a course. You're hitting a driver, you're hitting a approach shot, you're putting, as opposed to Top Golf where you're just sort of aimlessly just hitting golf balls for
Now,
an
Top
hour.
Golf allows even a novice that doesn't know golf to be able to engage in the activity.
Right.
Does a simulator, since it's a real course that you're playing, is that going to exclude those people?
I think it's definitely going to appeal more to the serious or amateur golfer, but there are settings on the simulator to make it easier for someone who's brand new to the game to not get overly frustrated because they're duffing it and hitting it in the rough the whole time. Because that would be, that is one good thing that Topgolf does.
Well, that could be the next big real estate play. Where this one where they need to put one of these is in Uptown.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Uptown's kind of falling out of favor, but I think there's some areas in Dallas where a golf simulator would do well, and I think there's maybe a group or two that's looking into it. So I think you're going to see one in Dallas in the next year or two.
Well, I'll try it out. I look forward to trying it out.
Yeah.
Since this is a real estate show, we just briefly touched on real estate.
Yeah.
But that's obviously a very active area. We were talking about it just before the show about the activity in Uptown and the design district. Deep Ellum is obviously really starting to congeal and come to fruition.
Is that ever going to be a real big area of Dallas, though?
Deep Ellum?
Epic. The Epic Hotel is going in. And
That's right.
Bottled Blonde is...
Deep Ellum is trying to find itself, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And when I say it's trying to find itself, it's got this great history and legacy, and is this really cool feel that you don't get in Dallas. I mean, Dallas is a new city. Everything's new. That's one place that feels more like, your old lofty, old warehouse style Chicago.
Right.
Or being in Illinois.
What is it? The Painter's Alley in Nashville.
Right.
I mean, just kind of that history behind it. Where everything isn't so glittery and new, which you're absolutely right. Dallas is completely like that, and it sort of suffers from that problem, to be honest.
It does. But I my concern, and I think the fear of a lot of Deep Ellum people, and I'm just an outsider. I don't really have a dog in the fight, but what are they going to be over the course of time? Are they going to evolve and get absorbed by the new development? Or are they going to end up staying where they are and stay with that grungy type feel?
Right. Well, I mean, we know that a lot of the frequent Deep Ellum goers and the bartenders sort of on Elm and Commerce, they don't like Epic coming in, Bottled Blonde, kind of bringing in a new crowd to that area.
We're having some of that right now, by the way. We have this wonderful spread in here.
Popcorn,
Dallas
Blonde,
some pretzels, Dallas Blonde.
Feels like a Friday.
It does. It's not a Friday, but tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens with Deep Ellum, and I think the design district is gonna.
Well,
there's a lot
we
of
were
new
talking
things
about
happening.
that. I think one of the most interesting topics, and I think a lot of people are talking about this, is the site right there across from the jail. It's a former prison. It's a big parking lot. It's overfill for the jail right now. And I think the question in everybody's mind is, are we going to see that transform into the master plan development that has been talked about and proposed? Can it exist there? Where is it going to go? Are we going to end up having this no man's land down there? Where do you see it going?
Well, can't you see in the next 5 to 10 years just this incredible amount of development in West Dallas and the design district that links these two parts of Dallas together?
If anything, the way that I think they'll get linked will be through the Trinity River project.
Yeah,
the new development in and along the Trinity River project could potentially tie it in.
Yeah,
but it doesn't change that you're across from the jail.
If that's ever going to happen, the Trinity River project,
it will happen. It has funding. It will get funded. But it's going to be like Victory. We were talking about Victory. Victory was like every other master plan development. Legacy started out the same way. This cycle, Legacy knocked it out of the park. It's one of the fastest growing submarkets, hands down the fastest growing submarket in the metroplex. It's where Toyota went, Liberty Mutual went, JP Morgan, Fannie Mae went. We went from 12,000 jobs to 52,000 jobs on the south side of 121 over the course of 18 months. And that's not taking into account the $5 billion mile on the north side of it with the Star.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're seeing is Victory Park is coming to fruition. It took 2 cycles for it to come to fruition, and that's what I think is going to happen with anything else that we do. If they do that development, they're going to have to build it. It's going to go through one down cycle, and then 15, 20 years, it will come to fruition. So you got to have the staying power as the developer to be able to do that.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, that's good insight. I mean, we're going to have another downturn shortly.
Right.
I mean, we've been on a
What
9
goes up
years.
must come down,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon, I think. I mean, I've been saying it for 2 years, but I remind
Me too. That's funny.
I remind everybody that the more I say it, the more closer I am to being right. But you're right. I think
you and Jamie Dimon, who said the same thing, he just didn't know when.
yeah. So you're right. It's probably going to take. I said maybe 3 to 5 years. It's probably more like 10 years before that before that design district area really becomes something of an established center and area in Dallas.
I think you're right. But
So,
I think
we'll
that
see.
everybody's bullish and positive on it, and I think that there's great things to come and great things to come for Dallas. Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on to our show today. I appreciate you sticking with us, and thank you to everybody that was listening in today. We hope that you'll continue to stick with us and listen to us, and we'll bring other great entrepreneurs just like Dan to the table for you. I'm Grant Pruitt, signing off.